Yes.
Oh dear, we've lost Sabrina. That's a good start. Let's. So we're live now. I'll just quickly send a message to Sabrina. Oh dear, we've lost Sabrina. That's a good start. Let's see if we can get it back. Hold on. Let's. Okay, hopefully Sabrina will come back, but we may as well get started and introduce the rest of the guests. Thank you for joining us this week for the, oh, here she is. Excellent.
Hi
You're back.
there.
Hi, Sabrina.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No problem, no problem. Thanks for joining us this week for Dopey Bill's Live News. Nathan's on the beach at the moment, so I'm going to do my best to try and take over his job today. I won't do as good a job as he does, for sure, with all the buttons to press and all that kind of stuff. Hopefully we're live in the Facebook group and the YouTube live page as well. So I'm just going to get started and introduce all the guests we've got today. First of all, there's me, Paul Lacey, co-founder of the Digibird Studio. And let me just see. Yeah, done it. We've got Kirsty Burgoine with us today, who is from Human Made and is also part of the team for the next release of WordPress 5.5. So, Kirsty, do you want to say a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hello, I'm Kirsty. I'm a front-end WordPress engineer at Human Made. Yes, and I've had some involvement in some of the work that's gone into WordPress 5.5, which is really quite cool.
Thanks, Kirsty. Right, this should be easy. And we've got Sabrina Zeidan. Is that right?
Zeidan.
Got it. So do you want to introduce yourself, Sabrina? By the way, you're one of the people I've met in real life before actually meeting online. Do you remember we met watching Peach's presentation, because Peach's presentation at WordCamp London was so
Overcrowded.
Everyone was sitting outside and we just watched it on my laptop, I think, and that's how we got to meet each other.
Yeah, I can remember that it was WordCamp London 2019, right? And all those people were sitting outside of the room and we had that screen because the room was so full and we were like making a room for other people there. Yeah, I can remember, sure.
Cool. We've also got, I'll try this. Yep, done it. Okay. Akshat Choudhary from Blog Vault and Malcare. If you want to introduce yourself, Akshat.
Hi, Paul. Thanks for having me here. I'm the founder of Blog Vault and Malcare. I think we met at WordCamp London too last year.
Yeah, we did.
I also do remember that overcrowded session. Yes, but yes, I'm the founder of Blog Vault Malcare. We are a WordPress backup security service, and yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Thanks, Akshat. Brilliant. So we're going to just get straight on with the news today. Let's take a look what we've got. Okay, so to begin with, we've got the WordPress release 5.5 beta 3. Now, normally we would skirt over these items quite quickly because we've already done the announcement, we've already done beta 1, we've already done beta 2. We're now on beta 3, and there's usually not that much to talk about. But today we've got Kirsty, who is actually on the team of this particular release, and it's a special release as well because this is a release with what do they call it, all identifying as women team. So the whole team is that right, Kirsty?
Yeah, the core team leading the release, I think, is yes.
Awesome. Do you want to tell us a bit about what's happening in this particular release? Like, what are the highlights? And I'd also like to ask you a little bit after about what it's like working on the team as well.
So, I mean, I'm not on the core team. I helped with the XML sitemaps implementation that has been merged into 5.5. So, from my involvement, we very much had a spec that got put out to the WordPress community. We did like a minimum viable product, which we then released as feature plugin. which the rest of the community stepped in and raised tickets against and pull requests, and continued work on that for a while. And then it's once we got it to a place where everybody was happy, it got announced as a merge release so that it can get included in the core. Yeah, I'm not actually part of the core team.
No.
That's leading 5.5.
No, you're a contributor to the team.
Yes.
So the work you've done is basically kind of replacing functionality that things like Yoast plugin include, where they have things like XML sitemap. Is that right?
Yeah. So we've created basically the foundations. So the likes of Yoast and the people that worked on Jetpack and stuff were all part of the second phase of the project, so that they got to feed back into what the sitemaps plugin was, how it was looking and how it's going to work. And so the expectation now is that this doesn't replace the need for them, but what they can do now is build on top of what we've got and bring in all the custom stuff. So this is very much just creates core sitemaps for the core, like page and post and taxonomies and things like that. And then all the extra features and bells and whistles and stuff will still come from the plugins and the plugin developers.
That's nice. So how many of the different SEO plugins have been involved in talking with all of you?
I think so. Before we started, we reached out to Yoast and Jetpack. There was another one that was an automatic one for a while that we looked at as well. There's the all-in-one SEO plugin that we also looked at. So yeah, I mean, our initial research involved looking at quite a few different implementations, and then I think someone from all of the leading ones has been involved in the channel or the conversation somewhere along the way.
Yeah. Do you know like what some of the other main, because that's a pretty big feature, but do you know what some of the other main features are that are kind of exciting for 5.5?
Yeah, I think the big one is Gutenberg is bringing in the patterns idea, so which I think will be interesting, and also their block library as well. So they've done quite a lot of redesign to the UI and things. And one of them is now that when you go to select a block, it'll open in a sidebar on the right rather than in a pop-up window. And you can do your search for your block. And if it's not already there, then it searches the block library for you and finds third-party blocks for you to use, which I think is probably something that's a big feature for this release.
Yeah. Are you a block editor user yourself currently?
Yes.
You're allowed to say.
Oh no. Yeah, I use it. I just I've been doing a lot of block development recently as well, which was so it's been it's interesting.
Just while we've got you on here, because it's not often we get somebody who's on who's a major contributor to a big release like this, especially this particular one. I just wanted to know if you had any insights into how the whole all-female team thing worked. Was there some special communications or anything like that, or how did that work out?
Honestly, I haven't seen much of it because it wasn't really part of the team. But as far as my understanding is concerned, is like it worked, just as well as any other release.
Yeah.
It was just different team members.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Cool. Anyone else got anything to say on 5.5 beta 3?
I would like to ask something, Kirsty. How did you decide to work specifically on this feature? Was it your decision, or it's human-made, or how it works?
It was partly human-made, partly mine. So this was initially a proposal that Google created and wanted to spearhead, and they brought that to human-made as a project to see, would would you guys be interested in working on this with us? And then who inside HumanMade actually got to work on it was, obviously there's always depends if you're free. If you're on a very busy project already, you can't just jump ship. But yeah, it was then pushed out to see who would like to be involved. So and it's like that would be really cool to actually be able to contribute to WordPress. Yes, please include me on this. Please do. So yeah,
cool.
It's a pretty good badge of honor. I can't
Do
say.
you know, guys, that there will be a staging and production environment in 5.5? There will be a function defining staging and production.
Yeah.
So we can set something like, if it's staging, do so. If it's production, do so. It will be easier to do after 5.5.
Right, there was an environment. You check available to developers in 5.5. I did see that. That's actually pretty good. Because you have all these plugins which are first of all, more people are using staging, but all these plugins which would just behave weirdly on a staging environment.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
that's a good feature.
A challenge you've had to solve, Akshat, because your plugin Malcare and BlogVault has a
Yes,
staging environment. So
yeah, so we actually made a note of that specific feature. So it's a good feature, and it's good that we have standardized it. So that licensing and all those issues. So for example, if you're using a CDN, the CDN would just behave weirdly on a staging environment. So now the plugin, like a WP Rocket, can just say that if it's a staging environment, then don't load CDN, for example.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's a neat feature.
Yeah. So no more commenting out the variables in the WP config file anymore. We can. There's a special option for us now. Finally.
Yeah. In a few releases, I guess. In a few months, hopefully. When.
Well, there's the really exciting part of 5.5 is that WordPress 5.5 to remove Hulu from the list of supported oEmbed providers. I mean, that's really exciting. Not that I mean, Hulu, that's a TV streaming service. Is that right? Is it like Netflix or something? And you could embed that into a WordPress website at some point, but I guess the demand wasn't really there. So,
you know what? It seems like a very small news, right? A piece of news, but I think it's a major problem behind that. For example, do you know github.com, where we store our GIST, right? So this service cannot be embedded into Gutenberg as well. There is no support. Just like Hulu did, they stopped providing the support for, I think they didn't ever even started to provide the support for embedding. And this is like the responsibility of the service itself. So if github.com want their GIST to be embedded into WordPress, they have to provide this support. Otherwise, they won't be. There are a few plugins to provide this, but they don't work with Gutenberg. There was one from, I can't remember the guy's name, but nevertheless, there was one for Classic Editor, but there is no support for Gutenberg. And it seems like a small problem for Hulu users. Like you said, maybe there wasn't that much demand for the service. But it seems to me like it's trend. I don't know. It's like a major problem for the third-party services in general, not providing this small markup to make it compatible with WordPress. I have no idea how this can be possibly resolved, you know? Should it be like WordPress team, somewhere from WordPress Core team, outreaching for the services? Probably not. But like it's a problem for users.
But that's a really nice idea. I don't know. I mean, that might already exist, that, you know, kind of almost like a WordPress gardener as part of the core team, or like a gardener team that goes around and is kind of picking out the weeds and making sure everything is as integrated as possible. That would be a really nice...
Yeah, like compatibility things
Yeah.
like plugins do and so on. Yeah, maybe, I don't know. But it would be really nice if someone will do that.
Yeah, maybe there is. I mean, I might be ignorant of it. Maybe there are people that do that. Sorry, 1 second. Just mute myself.
I have my dog over here as well. So if there will be any barking, that might be me as well.
When the door knocks, the dog goes crazy, and then the cat just ran off and stuff. It was just total. A new chair has arrived. But yeah, sorry, I was saying it would be nice if there was like a team who did that and was outreaching to all the companies who were struggling with the new changes, because the changes are moving so fast at the moment. I know that
actually, it's not really like a new change. They just stopped providing that support, the Hulu service, you know.
Yeah.
And guess they never started to do that. But yeah, it would be nice if there was some kind of compatibility team or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's one more update on the 5.5 before we move on, which I'll just share my screen on this one. Let me just do that. So apparently, theme authors can rejoice. For the first time, it's now possible to pass data templates. Now, I don't really understand what this is about too much. I think that it's expanding on the things like WP_footer, WP_header, but apparently theme authors can rejoice, which is nice for them, because I think theme authors have had a real tough time of late trying to get their heads around all the plans that are happening with the new changes in WordPress and how WordPress wants to affect people, how they make their themes and everything, which I think it puts a lot of people out of contention for making themes. So we'll see how that goes. But there's probably I don't think, has anyone got anything to say on that at all?
I think that's cool. Really handy, because sometimes, you know, when you have like two very similar blocks, like templates for the same thing, for example, like for single post and for single post in the archive page, in the archive template. And you just need like small changes to show them. Previously, you needed to create two different templates. And when you change something, you needed to change in two different templates. And now you can just pass argument that like, this is for archive page, and then like retrieve that argument and show the content for archive page template instead of having few templates for that. That's really handy.
Oh, okay. So now I understand it. So basically, kind of means that like you could pass an argument to WP head and decide to not show, for instance, Google Analytics code on a particular page if the code was embedded in the head file, for instance.
Yeah, theoretically,
you use a hook for that, but
yeah, right. Theoretically, yes, but I don't think it will be like the best in case of usage. But
no,
maybe,
probably
like,
not.
you know, if it's template so and so, show so and so in head. Like don't show this menu or don't show this item. But yeah.
It can also help modularize theme development. So, for example, if you were to like break the parts of the page down into their smallest components, so say you have your post title, and then you'd have a list of the authors and the publish date and things, and that list is always the same on every page. You can have a template part with that and just pass the information for that particular article in. So the markup and things that you're using and the part of the template is always the same. It's just the data that you're pushing into it that changes, which means that you've got way less repeatable code and just helps, modularize, I think is a good word there.
So it's a fairly big deal then, that update then, for the people who are working in that particular way. That's cool. We've got a couple of comments. Hi, Chris. It's time for the pet segment of WP Builds. Yeah, that's right. Every week. Thanks for that. And we've got also someone who's called Facebook user who says, good afternoon. So if you're using Facebook, there is a link somewhere in there that allows you to press something that makes it so we can see who you are. So it might be Peacher. Often it's Peacher who's got that the anonymous aspect going on there. Let's move on from the WordPress core onto the community stuff. So the first one we've got today, I'll bring this up on my screen, is Zero BS CRM was recently acquired by Automatic, and fairly predictably they've rolled it out into something called Jetpack CRM. That's launched now, so I'll just bring that article up on the screen so you can check it out. And here we go. So this is the, can everyone see that? This is the page for Jetpack CRM. It's basically almost the same as the page for Zero BS CRM at the moment. And it seems that they're rolling it out to their audience that way. I saw some reactions on Twitter that weren't too excited about this, but then to be quite honest, I think when Jetpack does anything, there's often a lot of criticism that goes on no matter what they do. I'm not a big fan of Jetpack myself, but they do take a lot of stick. Akshat, you noted down you wanted to say something about this one.
I'm just like baffled by the branding of it. Already Jetpack is so confusing, you just don't know, at least from what I read, like people just don't know what Jetpack stands for. And then you add the CRM, which is, you would assume that like everything else in Jetpack is associated with that plugin. And here this has nothing to do with that plugin. So I just wonder what kind of branding they are looking at. I think it'll be very confusing for people if they see that, okay, there is a CRM, is there a plugin involved? Or this is like a completely different system altogether. So having a CRM branded as Jetpack, I don't think it does them any favors or it does them any good.
I totally know what you mean. So you're kind of saying that this isn't actually part of Jetpack Core. So why
it is not, like it has nothing to do with Jetpack, like apart from the owners. And it's almost, it's like, and Jetpack itself, unfortunately, is so confusing. But like, if Jetpack was not confusing, if people knew what Jetpack, and at least that's the sense I get from it, that Jetpack does so many things, and it does quite a few things pretty well. But if you just went to Jetpack, it's very difficult to say that, okay, pinpoint it.
Sorry, which of those things? Give me a short list.
I think some of the image CD and stuff like that, it does pretty well. I think they offer some interesting blocks in there. But overall, I don't know. I find this slightly confusing. Why they branded it as Jetpack? It could have been branded as XYZ, and it would not have made any difference.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, Automatic got loads of funding, didn't they, from Salesforce? They got like $300 million or something from Salesforce. So there was always a clear sign they were going to do something in the CRM area. So it feels like this is probably the beginning of something that is for people, normal people like us to use as a CRM if we want, but maybe they'll do some really tight integration with Salesforce, which WordPress and Salesforce isn't the easiest thing to connect compared to a lot of different systems, quite honestly. But what do people think about the concept of a CRM in WordPress? I've said that with a certain tone of voice that makes it clear that I'm not a big fan of the idea, but I'm not a big fan of the concept of a WordPress install that people who don't understand things like what Akshat does with his company, all the security aspects, all the data privacy, all that sort of stuff, and then being able to go, hey, cool, I can install WordPress on a cheap host and install this Jetpack CRM and I'm all done. It worries me a little bit. It's not going to keep me awake at night, but what do people think about that?
Me personally, I would hate to see it inside Jetpack or inside WordPress, And speaking about things that Jetpack does well, I think there are two things at least. First is distribution of their product, and the second is raising money. Right?
Good point. Well made. Anyone else got anything to say about Jetpack CRM at this point? Nope. I did speak once to the one of the co-founders of Zero BS CRM, and I didn't meet him in the end. But I didn't go to the event. But I wasn't so upset about the concept of a CRM with WordPress when I spoke to him online. So I'm clearly tainted by the Jetpack branding on this, and I am confused, like Akshat said, that it's only just come to my mind that this isn't part of Jetpack Core. This is just a completely different thing. Anyway, I'm repeating myself, so let's move on to the next one, which is an article on WP Tavern. Let's bring that up on the screen. Okay. Called Why Accessibility Matters for WordPress Themes and Their Users. And this is a Justin Tadlock article. And Kirsty, I don't know if you want to, if you indicated you might want to say something about this particular one. Do you know anything, Kirsty, about the accessibility plans for WordPress at the moment? Is there any background you might be able to put in on there for us?
Well, I mean, they are continually moving forwards very slowly. I thought this was quite an interesting article, but it feels like it's just going over old ground again. So, I mean, the whole discussion over whether a theme should be accessible isn't even a discussion anymore. Everybody is pretty much agreed that, you know, the goal here isn't even to make it accessible. It's about making sure it's inclusive, which is a slightly different thing. But it just seems, I find it quite strange. So the theme team are like trying to add one feature at a time to try and push things forwards gradually without just continually getting a lot of resistance, which is a pretty good idea. It really felt like this is a really old topic now. There's, you know, I mean, why are we still discussing whether users think this will be of value, and theme developers, why aren't they doing this? It just seems to be a very old topic. So it was my general feel on it.
Yeah. What the old version of the block, the classic editor, was that basically okay for accessibility as far as people are concerned?
Yeah, mostly. I mean, obviously it wasn't perfect, and Gutenberg still has quite a long way to go, unfortunately. But they are focusing on how many accessibility fixes that come out in each release now. So when you look at the What's New page, there's always a section now that lists accessibility features. Some of the ones in 5.5, which is especially nice, is the so when you try to log into WordPress and if you get your username or password wrong, the box shakes. On Mac, there is an option to reduce motion if you find that uncomfortable, or there's specific reasons why you can't really use sites with a lot of animation and stuff, you can tick that box. And then as web developers, we build things so that if you've ticked that box, we provide you with an alternative experience. So they've included that now, so that if you have reduced motion selected, it won't animate for you, and small things like that. So I think they're really pushing forwards with the amount of accessibility features they're building in, and really making a much bigger deal of shouting about what they've done as well, because there is still a lot to do, but they are continually working on it.
Yeah. So they're not just focusing in on the block editor anymore, because that there was a lot of controversy around that launched, and didn't the whole team quit? The accessibility team quit. Am I right in remembering that?
Quite a lot of them did, yes.
Yeah. And so I guess we took 2 steps back and 1 step forward on that, and now we're catching up, I suppose. Okay. Anyone else got anything to say on that particular one? No. These articles, whenever there's an article like this on WP Tavern, it's always worth checking out the comments at the bottom. Kirsty, do you know Claire?
Yes, I've met her a couple of times.
Yeah, she's been at a lot of the WordCamp, the UK-based WordCamps and everything, and she's saying here about how the Astra theme doesn't have the WordPress accessibility ready tag on it. It might have at the moment, I'm not sure, but their website states that it is. So I think I know that there is. The thing is, though, I do know that there are a lot of themes that are accessibility ready from a theme point of view. That I think you sometimes have to have it approved by the WordPress Core team, as far as I know, because there's some that should be listed and that aren't. Okay, the next one is one that I've added in here. So let's pull that up. And it is that Matt Medeiros, the podcaster and self-proclaimed WordPress critic on his Twitter handle, has joined the Castos team. So if anyone doesn't know what Castos is, it's a podcasting hosting service predominantly. WP Builds uses it to host the WP Builds podcast. And it seems that Matt Medeiros, who we've got a nice picture of his eyes here covered with his name, has joined the team. Anyone who doesn't know who Matt Medeiros is, you probably should know who he is. He's been podcasting in WordPress for forever, and it seems like a really good match that someone like Matt will be joining the Castos team, and his new role is Director of Podcaster Success. So from what I understand, he's going to be creating lots of content and supporting the customers and the audience of Castos, which sounds like an awesome job. I saw a lot of good stuff on Twitter about this, congratulating him and kind of saying that if anyone is kind of interested in getting involved in the WordPress community, that when you do, opportunities like this kind of thing can happen. I know that all four of us are quite heavily involved in the WordPress community from time to time. And I don't know about you guys, but I've had lots of opportunities as a result of getting involved. So this is a really good news for Matt, really good news for Castos. Anyone got anything they want to add to that at all? Anyone met Matt?
Cheers for both of them.
Say again?
Cheers for both parties.
It's a great match, isn't it? I think it's brilliant. Which I assume that means, because I think he was working for Pagely previously, the web host. So I assume that means he's not working for Pagely anymore, and now he's working here, and hopefully he'll carry on with the Matt Report podcast as well. Anyone met Matt here at all? Sabrina, have you met Matt?
I think so. When WordCamps were a thing.
Yeah, Matt Medeiros is I pretend that he's like my WordPress hero. So one day I hope that I'll get to meet him, like a stalker or something. Okay, so there's that one. Right, we can skip the next one, I think. Right, we're going to move on to the plugins, themes, and blocks section here. So I'm going to pop up this item about Unsplash. Okay. All right, so Unsplash have released a plugin, which I'm pretty sure everybody knows what Unsplash is, but it's a free photo library of kind of that you can use any of the photos on your website. There is some other solutions out there that you can use to put Unsplash photos on your website automatically through the back end of WordPress, but Unsplash have now launched their own official plugin for it. Has anyone tried this plugin yet at all?
I did.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Did you use the previous plugin? Like there was a plugin that I used to use called Instant Images. Do you know that one?
It wasn't coming from their team.
No, that was an unofficial plugin. Yeah, that was just connecting to the API as far as I know. So, are you going to use this plugin?
I think so. I don't know. My experience was very nice. Like it just works as you expect it to work, and that's it. You know, nothing that makes you do like, wow, what's that? That's so cool. No, it just works and does its job, and that's it. Yeah, I think it's cool.
Yeah. It also pulls in the attribution information for the photographer as well, which is really nice. It's because I know a lot of people will just go to Unsplash, download a photo, upload it, and it's nice to have that metadata, I think, in the photo in the background there. So this article does mention the other competitor to this project is the Instant Images one here. So I haven't tried this new plugin yet, but I'll definitely give it a go on the next WordPress website that I'm working with. Okay, so the next one is anyone else?
Have any one of you seen the comment from Matt Markwick for this plugin?
Yeah, I did see that. There was quite a bit of controversy there.
Yeah, so there were a lot of controversy there, and then like whether Unsplash can be can be on WordPress.org repository because of contribution rights and stuff. And in the end, it turned out that everything is fine. It can be on WordPress.org. They changed a bit their licensing and so on. But after that, I saw a comment coming from Matt Mullenweg on WordPress.org, like, I won't be using this plugin and I don't recommend anyone to use it. That was a bit rough, I think.
Yeah, he's actually commented on the article itself on Dopey Tavern here. You can see that apparently it goes against Unsplash's own licensing for images. And so
yeah, it was before. And after that, like when everything was like resolved in terms of terms, like on licensing and stuff, there was a comment coming from him that the licensing is okay, but the way he didn't particularly like the way the team were talking about the licensing.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a WP drama. I can see it unfolding, which is always fun. You know, we always need a bit of drama from time to time.
You know what's interesting to me is how Matt Mullenweg, I'm sure he's tremendously busy, gets the time to get involved at such, because this is licensing of a plugin for images. I don't know how he makes time to figure out like what is really going on behind the scenes in something like this. That's amazing in a way.
It seems that when it's about intellectual property and stuff like that and licensing, it seems to be a really important subject to him that he tends to weigh in on whenever there's something like this. Sorry, Sabrina, I interrupted you there.
Yeah, I was just saying that I was always interested how Matt gets into so many things, you know, like tracking everything that's happening and here and there with all sorts of things. And then I thought maybe it's like people assisting him and providing some new information, you know. We all are limited with our own time, but he has a team actually probably working on that and tracking the news and what's happening.
Yeah, I wonder what that looks like. You know, when Matt Mullenweg decides to weigh in on something, does he just go and do it himself, like Trump on Twitter? Or is there a little discussion, you know, hey, you know, this should, you know, this Matt says to his advisory team or something, this is what I kind of want to say, and what do you think? And, you know, and then I don't know, but who knows what goes on in that kind of thing. What's interesting as well is that in the comments you can see that apparently Jetpack has an integration, which Jetpack is obviously owned by Automatic, which is Matt Mullenweg's company. According to this, I don't know if this is true, but Jetpack does have an integration with Pexels. So Pexels is a competitor to Unsplash. And so you can see the drama unfolding here as people are saying, hey, you know, well, if Jetpack can have that, well, why can't this? And, you know, so it's the age-old argument, I think, with the Jetpack stuff. We've got a comment here from Rick. I'll just put this comment up here. Sorry, Sabrina, you've been covered up. Rick says, with Unsplash or other free stock photo services, I'm always worried that the photos are stolen and are uploaded for the service, which makes me vulnerable to copyright claims. That's absolutely, can definitely be a concern.
But it can be a concern with a lot of services.
It can be, yeah. It's just that there's there seems to be kind of almost an industry of suing people for small amounts, you know, for $1,000, $2,000 if you find a photo on their website. Do you know the other thing about my business partner Peter told me the other day, because we were doing some templates for Beaver Builder and we had some photos from Unsplash in there, and there was a picture of a Mac with the Mac icon on it. Apparently, that's not okay to use those kind of icons and logos and trademarked things, and even some certain people and certain buildings are not actually allowed to be used in things like websites and brochures, even though they're available on Unsplash. So it does open up a can of worms about, you know, be careful with the images that you're using.
This is such a tricky sphere. I don't know.
Yeah.
And especially if you're a theme author or something like that, where you're distributing, your product is distributing these images in some form. then it becomes even more. So I think if you're building your own website, while there's some level of liability, it just grows exponentially if you're distributing a theme which has those images embedded in it in some form, like as a sample or something like that.
Yeah.
So those things. And there's this, I forgot who the person, theme, template monster, I think. I forgot who the person.
It's Ukrainian company, by the way.
Sorry?
It's Ukrainian company, by the way.
Yeah, and the founder of it was had been sued for using a photograph or some images which had a copyright claim on it, and then he really had to. Yeah, he was sued for a significant amount of money because he was distributing some template which had images with questionable copyright claims. So. It just becomes tricky when you are building products which are used by many other websites or WordPress sites, essentially.
And just to be complete with all of information we have here, there is a resources page on themes page in make.wordpress.org that says what are recommended websites for images and what sites are not recommended, which sites are not recommended. And Unsplash got into restricted websites there.
Right. Unsplash is what? Is a not recommended one?
Yes, it's not only not recommended, it's like restricted websites. If you could share my screen, I can show that.
I can try. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know how to do it. If you send me a private message, I can pull that up and we can take a quick look.
Right. Is this a new change or was this already always like this?
No, it just happens like a few days ago.
Wow.
Oh, so Unsplash has been kind of named and shamed on that list. Is that right? Yeah.
Here is.
Sabrina, if you can, oh, there you go. Let me just see if I can add that to the stream.
Okay.
So the drama does not end.
So it's a page on make.wordpress.org, right?
Wow.
And this is for themes. And there is a section here saying which websites are recommended for images, and we have pixels first.
Yeah.
And then restricted websites. And Unsplash is the first one that is restricted. Not just not recommended, but restricted.
Interesting. Yeah. And it's right at the top of the list as well, isn't it? So.
Yeah.
And Jetpack apparently uses Pexels, I think, which is right at the top of the do use list and has something about using the CCO license. I don't actually know what that means, but
Creative Commons.
Oh yeah, of course. Not the Pexels license. So that's interesting. Yeah. So like Akshat said, the drama continues. Definitely. Anything else, Kirsty? Is there anything you wanted to add to that at all?
No, I just agreed with Akshat. Just if you're a theme builder and you use these as example images in your theme, I can imagine very easily people going, "Oh, I really like that image. I'll just keep it."
Yeah.
And not swap it out for something safer.
Yeah, definitely. Let's move on to the next one, which is, to me, a bit of a game changer. Have any of the three of you seen this? I don't know if any of you use GeneratePress at all, but I'm not sure if you've seen this. GeneratePress released another plugin recently called Generate Blocks, which used, I think, CSS Grid to allow you to create really complicated layouts in the block editor, but in a really super nice way. And I know I'm slightly biased towards GeneratePress because I'm a real fanboy of GeneratePress, but they've gone a step further now with the GeneratePress Premium plugin. And let me just pull this up on the screen. Okay, so what you could do with Generate Blocks was you could create, complicated layouts with the blocks, and that's pretty much all it did. And then with this block elements they brought out, you're able to use those block layouts that you create in any of the available WordPress hooks in your GeneratePress theme. So that means that you can actually do this before anyone else is kind of doing this in the core of WordPress. You can use it to create a site footer, or to create a header, or a sidebar, or put, create, for instance, an element underneath every post in a blog that is like an author profile, those kind of things. So this, to me, is super cool, because if anyone uses something like Beaver Builder or Elementor, those kind of tools, Beaver Builder's got something called Beaver Themer, which was a real game changer for anyone using Beaver Builder. You could create things like headers, footers, archive views, single post templates, WooCommerce templates, that kind of stuff. Elementor has a similar functionality, and it seems that GeneratePress is actually heading in that direction as well. I don't think it has the ability to do things like archive pages or single post templates yet, but you can design your sidebars using the block editor. You can design your footers, your headers, and like I say, anywhere you want to insert a hook into there. It says somewhere in here that this is just the beginning, and that they're working on a whole bunch of, here it is. This is just the beginning. We have big plans for the block elements moving forwards. I do have an inside track on some of that. Some of my friends work with GeneratePress, and we actually work with GeneratePress as well. I can't say too much, but they're not joking when they say they've got some big plans. So this is really cool for anyone who's using GeneratePress, or if you're using something like Astra or Genesis, it's definitely worth a look. Anyone got anything to say on that at all?
I think that will be interesting to see quite which direction they go in with that, because I think that's very much what the block patterns are trying to achieve as well. It's that step towards the whole full site editing experience that Gutenberg's trying to move towards. So it'll certainly be interesting to see how the two differentiate themselves. Yeah,
the good thing about what GeneratePress's core developer Tom Osborne does, he doesn't like to overlap with things that are already happening in other plugins or things that are happening in core. So his Generate Blocks plugin doesn't try to reinvent any of the other things. It's purely a layout thing. So I think that this will actually be totally complemented by block patterns. It means that you could have a block pattern for a footer, which would be a block pattern created by Generate Blocks for the footer. So I'm interested to see where this goes, and I know that they're creating tons of really nice templates at the moment to use with this, because they've hired a guy called Mike Oliver, who's a really good web designer, and he's producing a lot of templates for them at the moment. Let's just see. We've got a funny comment from Rick here again, talking about when we were talking about how does Matt know what's going on in the space. So I think it's comparable to leaders receiving a folder with newspaper clippings in the morning. So that's how he does it, probably. Okay. All right. So the next one we've got in plugins themes is a similar product to GeneratePress, which is I'll just pull this link up for us. It is It's the Page Builder Framework theme by David Von Gries, who's a friend of the show, and I'm sure that pretty sure Akshat and Sabrina have probably met David at some events as well.
We both were at WordCamp Europe last year, but we didn't meet there.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Yeah, he's such a good guy, and he's got an amazing product. So you've got GeneratePress, you've got Page Builder Framework, you've got Astra and Genesis. And those seem to be the ones that, especially in our bubble of the internet in WordPress, seem to get talked about all of the time. David's got a few other products, which is the Ultimate Dashboard Pro, which kind of allows you to put things like widgets into the dashboard, like training videos for your clients, that kind of stuff. He's got another product called Swift Control Pro, which is another kind of UX booster for how you use your WordPress every day. And he's put a bundle together so that you can buy the premium add-on for his theme, Page Builder Framework, the Ultimate Dashboard Pro, and the Swift Control Pro for a really good price. for unlimited sites on an annual renewal. So anybody use that theme at all, Page Builder Framework? I know a lot of people in the WP Builds group do. If GeneratePress Offices exploded tomorrow, that's the theme that I'd be using. But for the time being, I'm going to stick with GeneratePress. So, okay, so let's see. We've got, I think that pretty much does it for the plugins and themes section. I've got an article here that someone's added about GitHub preserves open source code Arctic. Who added that one?
Yeah, it was me. It's a fun stuff. I didn't really understand what's going on, but GitHub took all the data they have and they stored all the data somewhere in Arctic ice on the themes that probably should be working in 1,000 years. I think this is quite ambitious thing to say that something will be working in 1,000 years. And they suggest, like, their assumption is that someone in 1,000 years will be interested in the code that we've written in the past 12 years. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, well, the thing is, you know, in the since digital has been a really big thing, we're documenting everything, you know, in data. Podcasts are kind of like the history books. The code is kind of telling a story of exactly where technology is at the time, and, you know, blog posts and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, 1,000 years. I'm sure that this podcast will still be around in 1,000 years. So we can cover it and see. We can come back to that one and see, you know, see how it's going. Rick says that he uses Page Builder Framework, so does Chris use.
Oh.
Okay, so yeah, go on.
Also, you know what? I think we had a point about comparison about local environments.
Right? Let's pull that one up.
I have seen this discussion recently on some other WordPress group. Like, what kind of local setup would you guys use? And a lot of people, just like me, were surprised. Why would you be using local setup at all? Why would you be bothering with that at all? I mean, it's nice also that you have Akshat here from Blockworld that I use personally and I like very much. And it's an interesting topic, I think. Do you guys use local setup at all, local environment, or you do it?
I guess that Kirsty does. I'm gonna make it again.
Yeah, for general development, then yeah. So I've probably got like 8 locals set up running at the minute, just because it's easy to flick between. Yeah, I mean, for development purposes, then, because especially if you are doing Gutenberg development, where you probably want Webpack running and things to recompile when you make changes, and you want all of that local, so it's much faster, so that you can develop.
So it's the speed that is like the main reason why you develop locally?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's way easier to debug, and you can see. So normally we would have like the development version of the code locally, and then it gets minimized and zipped and flattened and spun around in circles, and then gets pushed up to a live server somewhere. So, you know, if you're trying to debug production ready code, that's very difficult anyway. So, you know, it means all your file sizes would be a lot bigger locally, because then you can find what you're looking for in them better.
Mm-hmm.
I don't use local development personally. I'm glad that, Sabrina, you said that, because I didn't want to mention. I thought I might be the outcast by saying that I didn't use local. I used to use XAMPP, if that's how it's said, the one that begins with X. But quite honestly, I think since that was when we used to actually hand code every single theme, and now that we're using things like page builders and theme frameworks, we're not finding any benefit to it, but that's just because we're an agency. We're just making websites for people. We're just making things that look nice for their business and everything. Whereas I'm not doing anything to the level that Kirsty's doing in terms of the development level of stuff. What do you use, Kirsty, for your local?
We use a combination of things actually. So we do have like an internal setup for some projects that is built by human made, but I've used VVV quite a lot. And at the moment, I actually use Local by Flywheel, which I actually find really easy. Just press a button and suddenly there's WordPress install running. So I have a development version of Core WordPress on one of those, on an install of that at the moment, so I can pick through all the Gutenberg code.
My favorite thing about this article is how they're rating the different systems. So instead of a star rating, because this is kind of like a techie nerdy thing, they're using semicolons. So Local actually gets a pretty good score here and gets 4.5 semicolons out of 5, which I think is a really nice touch to the article. That's hilarious. But yeah, actually, I use something called Instant IDE, which is a product by Cobalt Apps, and it's like a full IDE in WordPress. But one of the things that if you're using an IDE live in WordPress, then you can get a semicolon wrong, and then the whole website explodes. But the nice thing is that when you install Instant IDE, it does sit outside of the core WordPress install, so you can get things wrong while you're working on a development site. Obviously, if you're working on an actual client site, then you'll pull something over to staging and stuff. But while you're just working on an actual website, for me as just a small agency with a small team, we don't need version control and local and stuff on the things that we use. But if people are thinking about doing it, then check out this article, because it does kind of do a really nice review of all the different options and tells you about some of the upcoming features with some of the tools that I mentioned there. And I highlighted this comment a minute ago. Chris Hughes says apparently Kinsta is launching one soon, so that's going to be really good probably for Kinsta users, I imagine, who are a sponsor of this podcast. So we got it in there. Okay, so is there anything else anyone wants to mention before we quickly get on to deals for the week?
Yeah, but I think the comments here was very telling and actually very useful, especially when people are like, we were quite baffled ourselves as to why people are using local versus just having a staging environment or a development environment on the public internet. And like you said, so there are people who are building websites and they're not really tinkering with code to that much of an extent. So for them, frankly, the benefits you get in a local environment is limited, but you also get the benefits of sharing with clients in an easier manner, of sharing with team and working with others easily. So yeah, we do see, like, especially among our customer base, that a lot of people, especially website builders, they tend to work straight on a staging environment or development environment on the public internet.
Yeah.
Whereas people doing custom theme stuff and stuff like that, who are playing around with code, for them the extra fidelity or ease of use of making changes locally, and even if you're not doing compilation, just that quick edits without having to do it on a server is beneficial, because editing it and then copying it to a server even through FTP is a slow exercise. So in those cases, a local environment becomes is essential almost.
I'm a backend developer. I don't do any work with page builders or anything. I do just code, and I haven't had like local environment for the last 8 or 9 years, I think. For me, it's like outsourcing the stuff that I don't want to handle and to have a headache about, Let someone who knows their stuff do that, and I will be coding my stuff. That's the main reason for me for using like public staging.
Yeah. So Sabrina, that's in your kind of freelance agency type work that you do.
I'm a contractor. Yeah. So I speed up websites for the clients and do multi-site consulting. So they hire me, I speed up a website, and the project is done, and that's it. And with multi-site, same thing.
That sounds like a good job. I like it. I need
to
make
I like it too.
Yeah, it sounds great. It sounds like some of the things that the clients really appreciate as well, because you come in, you solve it, and then everybody's happy. I need to make a confession about local development. So I don't actually do local development, but some of my clients think that I do, because it's a fantastic excuse when they're like, "Can we see how it's going?" And like, sorry, it's on my local machine. So hopefully none of them are watching, but I have used that excuse on a occasion when I need to buy myself a few more hours of time.
Right. That's another benefit, right?
I'm glad that local development exists, because without local development existence, I couldn't say that. So I'd need to come up with some other kind of excuse. So we'll head on to the deals. Let's just pull this up. All right. Okay, so there's a couple of deals at the moment. You can actually go and see more deals over at the WP Builds deals page if you go to the wpbuilds.com and then check out deals. You can also sign up for the deals newsletter there. So whenever Nathan finds out about any of the new great offers that are coming by, he'll send you an email to let you know about that. A few of the ones on here, there is essential add-ons for Elementor, which is that who's behind that product? That's let's check that. I can't remember.
That's Astra people. So Brainstorm Force, I think.
Is it Brainstorm Force, that one? Yeah. So we've got essential add-ons for Elementor. Give WP have got 27% off because they got to their version 2.7. So that's pretty good, because normally the discount is like 20% or 25%. So I guess when they get to 2.8, you might want to wait for that. I don't know what Pinpoint World Booking System is, so I'm going to check that out later and see what that actually is. But apparently it's got a discount that Nathan thought was worth putting into here for 20%. Anyone know what Pinpoint World Booking System is? I know I can use the power of the internet and click this link and find out. But I know we need to kind of wrap up fairly soon.
So Paul, one quick, so I just looked up Essential Add-ons is by WP Developer, not Astra people. So yeah. Slight correction there.
What's that? Sorry.
It's by WP Developer, folks. Asif.
Yeah.
Asif Rahman. So his team is behind that.
Got it. Yeah. Okay. So I think that did they have a couple of items on AppSumo at one point, their products?
Yes, quite a few of them. So they have a whole array of products.
Be interesting to see if this one comes onto AppSumo then, because I know that it would sell extremely well. Pinpoint World Booking System seems to be an alternative to something like Calendly. So if you want to use, if you want a booking system within your own WordPress site to book calls and meetings, I think that's what it is. Brizy Cloud and the Brizy plugin have got 15% off at the moment. Flywheel Hosting, 3 months. 3 months discount with the code FlyJuly. They do this every July, so if anyone is actually ever looking to buy Flywheel hosting, then July is always the best month to do it, because they have their thing called FlyJuly. Continually is a SaaS deal on the AppSumo website where you can, I think it links up with Slack as far as I remember. So I think you can have live chat on your website, but you can manage it via your Slack, as far as I seem to remember. Quotas is a proposal system. It's nothing to do with WordPress. It's just a proposal creating software, as far as I know. Cubely Blocks is a WordPress product. It is a block set, and it's a premium block set. So there's tons of free block sets at the moment that normally have a premium upgrade with an annual deal. Whereas Cubely Blocks is on AppSumo at the moment for $49. I'm not sure how many domains you get for that. Maybe you get unlimited, probably not. You probably have to stack a few codes to get unlimited. Happy Forms have got a lifetime deal, which is interesting. So if that is on, I think that is possibly on AppSumo as well. Yes, it is. And Crello Image Editing, which is a kind of alternative to something like I don't know, maybe Canva or something like that, maybe, but more geared around creating social media graphics and those kind of things. Akshat, have you got any deal going on with Blog Vault or Malcare at the moment, or are you sticking to your prices?
Yeah, no deal specifically as such.
No,
Like
not at the moment, but watch this space. Yeah. Well, and Sabrina, you're a customer of Blog Vault, yeah?
Yeah.
Me too. Yeah,
it's my system, and I like changing the environment as well. And I was saying somewhere on Twitter that I like onboarding process, and I don't know, like I just like this smooth process you guys have. Yeah.
It's really quick to set up a site on Malcare. It's wonderful. I love it.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, that's the end of the deals section that we've got there. There's some security news that we always skip over, but basically,
there is Q's comments here. He's saying WooCommerce has 40% off all extensions tomorrow.
Yeah, let's pull that one up. WooCommerce has 40% off all extensions tomorrow for 1 day only. So typically with WooCommerce, maybe that means that you get the discount for 40% tomorrow, but then you have to pay the rest the next day after. I'm sure that's not what it is, but WooCommerce has had its fair share of pricing dramas itself, as far as I know. But I'm sure that so check out the WooCommerce website tomorrow, everybody who's looking to buy anything for WooCommerce, because it looks like they've got a 40% off deal tomorrow. On a serious note. Just check the terms and conditions.
Paul, if Matt were to listen to this, I think your name would be going onto a restriction
I'm on the list of agencies not using having a WordPress
on
website.
a restricted page, you would have Paul Lacey listed someplace.
Well, all publicity is good publicity, so it's fine.
Okay, good excuse.
What have we got? I think we're skipping over the security news as far as I know. I think we've pretty much run out of time.
So I'll put a quick comment in there. This is the problem why this is the reason why why WordPress has so many security issues, because whenever a security news comes in, they're like, no, it's okay, let's skip it over. Nobody's interested in it.
Boring stuff, right?
It's boring stuff.
We just close our eyes about it and just hope for the best. Yeah. No, I think the thing is there's so much security news. The articles that you'll see on the WP Builds news item about it are usually summary articles. So there is a link through to WebArcs' page that have done either a weekly, let's have a look, it's a monthly summary that, and if I just pull this, I won't bother pulling it up, actually, we're running out of time. But you can go to those summary pages, have a quick glance through and see if there's a plugin that you use a lot. But then again, if you use something like Malcare or Blog Vault and you're keeping all your plugins up to date and you're protecting your website, then listen out for the really important news, but just be proactive rather than reactive, I think is the way forward with that kind of thing. There is a latest episode of the main WP Builds website is called Headless versus Not Headless. And from what I understand, that's Nathan Wrigley and David Wormsley having a conversation about something that they don't actually understand very well. And I can say that because they said that too. Okay, so if you want two people debating the pros and cons of headless versus not headless, who don't actually know what they're talking about, then it's a bit of light entertainment for you there. And also, obviously, Sabrina, when's your next live session about 0 to 10K plugin installs? Do you want to mention that at all?
Yeah, of course. That's a show that we're doing with Nathan Wrigley on Tuesdays. We're trying to grow my plugin and his plugin that he helps to promote to some decent numbers. My plugin has a free version, so we're trying to grow it in WordPress repository, and his plugin is a premium plugin. So, and we're trying to learn some stuff on our way and to share it, and we do it each Tuesday. But now, as we have Nathan on vacation, our next episode will be on 4th of August, next week. And we will be talking, we haven't actually decided, we were talking about documentation before, about building a nice documentation for WordPress plugin, and then how to use documentation to get new customers, not for existing customers, but to get new customers. And next time on Tuesday, we have some homework for the next Tuesday, me and Nathan, both of us, that we will be sharing. We have to write few posts, at least 3 articles on our websites that serve as documentation for SEO purposes and as onboarding, and to something that will help us to get new clients as well, new customers as well. So this is our task, and on Tuesday we will be on the same time, 2 p.m.
Next Tuesday, yeah.
Next Tuesday, yeah.
Not the one coming a week tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah. Do you have a premium version of your plugin?
Not yet, but I'm really thinking about that.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of feedback, right? Before the show and when we started, a lot of people would reach me and tell me what they think about my plugin and what ideas they have for pro version as well. And I'm really thinking about this. I'm not sure it will be WordPress plugin or something else. Maybe it will be a SaaS service or something, but I'm thinking it over, yeah.
Cool. Well, when people have a product or a service, then this leads on to the next article, which is a job. There is an actual job in this COVID world at the moment going, and it is at Kinsta. And you can go to the Kinsta website and check out their role that they are advertising for the affiliate program coordinator. So I know that once you do have a product that has a premium aspect to it, people who are affiliates are interested in it, and obviously that can. I know that Brainstorm Force are extremely good at that. That they've grown their products amazingly to 1 million installs of their Astra theme, a premium version of their Astra theme. And affiliates have played a big role in that. But if you are a marketer and you're out of work or looking for something different at the moment, Kinsta has got a job at the moment. Go to their website and check it out there. I think that is everything for this week. Is there anything anyone wanted to add in terms of WordPress news before I ask you all what you're doing this week? Nope. Awesome. Well, so this week, I'm home alone at the moment. And I'm just here. I'm here with the dogs and the cats and the chickens, and my wife and kids have gone on holiday without me. So thanks, guys, for that.
Wow, sounds like a nice holiday.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Well, I volunteered to stay at home. I've got lots of work to do this week. I started watching film last night, Parasite, the Korean film. So I started watching that last night. Got a takeaway. It was great. It's a little holiday for me as well. So I'm at home doing loads of work, trying to keep the house from burning down and looking after the animals. So, Kirsty, what are you up to this week?
This week is pretty quiet. So we're getting married in about a month. So we're mostly doing random things in the evening to do with preparations for that now. So we don't have time to do anything else.
Cool. How's that going to work? Is it like 30 guests allowed or something, or what's the?
Yeah. So actually, very strangely, we got very lucky because of the pandemic, and the venue we've managed to hire would normally be booked for years, but because everybody cancelled on them, we were like, "Can we book it?" And they were like literally tripping over themselves to say yes. So we were like, "Wow, this is amazing!" So
Fantastic.
so we are. It's a maximum of 30 people, which is nice, which is what we wanted anyway. So it means that
Uncle Albert
we can't have any arguments with the family because the government said you can't come.
That's right. Well, good luck with that. That sounds brilliant. Sabrina, what are you up to this week? I guess you got a break from the show with Nathan this week, so doing something else?
Yeah, I'm working on, so my plugin that we're trying to grow is called SpeedGuard. It monitors site speed and notifies you in case it's not good. So I'm working on the next release because I've got, thanks to the show, I've got a lot of feedback about the product itself as well, not about just marketing and stuff. So I'm working on the next update, and I really hope that this week I will release something interesting.
Cool. Watch this space then. I suppose you can announce that next week on Tuesday as well. Akshat, how's your?
So. That was the plan.
Yeah. So you need to get that done then. In that case, plus those 3 blog posts. Don't forget to do your homework.
Okay.
Akshat, what are you up to this week?
Yeah,
Giving us some new cool stuff out there.
so we launched. We had a very big partnership with Cloudways launch late last week. So
Yeah.
I think just making sure that the systems are not are running fine, and that feature is working well is what's going to be like my primary focus through the week and maybe the next week also. So that's one of the things we are super excited about.
Wow, what are you doing with Cloudways then? Have you got something specific in Malcare or Blog Vault?
Yeah.
Or, yeah.
So as you know, bots are a big problem for any WordPress site, and almost 50% of all traffic are bots, and they at least on popular websites is even higher than 50%. So they end up using your server resources and slowing down your site. So what we do is now we have partnered with Cloudways, and we are bundling our new bot protection feature. So we'll block out bots and stop them from utilizing your server resources. So your site will become faster. Your visitors will get, will be able to load your site, especially if your site is under attack. You know, you've seen those XML RPC attacks. They will not be causing you any trouble, and you won't be alarmed by them anymore once the feature is actually the feature is live. So for Cloudways customers, it's getting bundled in, and for Malcare Premium customers, is going to launch soon.
Cool. Looking forward to that. Yeah.
I have a question to Akshat, if you guys excuse me to keep you a little bit more. Yeah, so I want just to use this possibility to ask the question. Akshat, how do you handle like the updates? Like when you got a next release, how do you handle the updates? Do you release updates to the whole amount of your users at once, or you do this like bit by bit to see how the things work?
So it's a bit of a tricky situation. Again, not all updates are done to everyone. So not all updates are that critical. So there are many updates which are much simpler, and we just push it out to the entire audience. But for the rest, we can kind of push the updates to the like we'll first push it onto our own website, then to a small number of customers, and then once we are comfortable with it, then we'll push it to the repository from where everyone gets it. So it's a bit of a dance, and it all depends on the criticality or the amount of change that goes in. So we actually have a very big update coming, not a big per se, but important update coming in. So we have been testing it through the day today. Maybe another day we'll spend one more day testing the entire system, and then the update will go out to a wider audience day after tomorrow.
Thank you.
Can I ask you a question as well, Akshat, about the bot protection? There is already some kind of bot protection in Malcare, I think. Is that right? But I think you told me on a chat once that you got like the best ever bot protection thing that you were really proud of coming out soon. So that's not in the panel at the moment. The super.
Yeah, so the difference is right now when we do bot protection, the WordPress still loads. So it still takes some resources. The bots are served a 403 page, but now with the new bot protection, we'll do it even before the WordPress loads. So it takes minimal resources at that point of time.
Oh,
awesome.
That's so cool.
Yeah, happy customers.
And all of this through the plugin, so you don't have to go through a cloud-based firewall or something like this.
Yeah, that's brilliant news. Brilliant. Okay, well, I think that's it. Unless anyone else has got anything else they want to announce at all? No? No? Well, thank you, everybody who turned up and was commenting. And thank you, everybody who came today on as panelists. Really appreciate it. Hope I did an okay job for everyone. It's very difficult to control this panel with just a laptop today rather than big screens. I nearly closed down the entire tab at one point, but we made it through to the end, so that's all good. So I'm going to shut off the broadcast now. So if you could also stick around just for a couple of minutes, and I'll end it now. Okay, bye bye everyone.
Bye bye.